Hello, mates. My name is Mitchell. Welcome to Mitchell Fashion Academy. In this video, you will learn how to recreate this beautiful off-shoulder dress with circle design. Let's get started. We'll start with the front bodice. Your pattern paper should be on fold. This is the armhole line, the bust line, the under bust line, and the waist line. Mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2, add half-inch sewing allowance. Square a straight line from the shoulder measurement to the armhole line. On the waistline, mark the bust span measurements divided by 2. Mark the same measurements on the under bust and the bust line. Square a straight line. On the bust line, come down by 1 inch. That's where the dart lines will start from. On the waistline, mark 1 inch on the left hand side and 1.5 inches on the right hand side. Mark the same measurements on the under bust line. Connect the dart lines from the 1 inch below the bust line, like this. Moving on to the neckline. Remember, this is an off-shoulder dress. Use any neck depth of your choice. You can use 5, 6, 7 depending on how low you want the off-shoulder to be. Mark your neck depth and connect it to the shoulder line with a curve like this. You can make the line straight if you wish. The circular designs will cover the neckline. Next, extend the dart line to the neckline. Mark half inch on both sides of the dart line and connect them to the dart line. We are going to replace the darts so that there won't be shortage. Measure your darts. Wherever you get, add it to the shoulder measurements like this and draw a new armhole line. On the waistline, mark the waist circumference divided by 4 plus the 2.5 inches darts and your sewing allowance. On the under bust, mark the under bust circumference divided by 4 plus the 2.5 inches darts, your sewing allowance. On the bust line, mark the bust circumference divided by 4 plus your sewing allowance. Mark the same measurement on the armhole line. Curve the armhole. Before you cut, add half-inch sewing allowance to the neckline. Make sure these parts are well curved. So this is it on the main fabric. Your pattern should look like this after cutting. Moving on to the back bodice. Your pattern paper should be on fold. This is the armhole line, bust line, waistline. Mark the shoulder measurements divided by 2 plus sewing allowance. Draw a straight line from the shoulder to the armhole line. The neck depth for the back is 4 inches. The front and the back armhole should be equal. Draw a straight line. This part is the zip allowance. On the waistline, mark the bust band measurements divided by 2. Mark the same measurements on the bust line and armhole line. This is the dart line. On the waistline, mark ½ inch on both sides of the dart line. Connect from the armhole line. So for the front bodies, the dart line started 1 inch below the bust line, while for the back, it started on the armhole line. On the waistline, mark the waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart sewing allowance. On the bust line, mark the bust circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart and sewing allowance. Mark the same measurement on the armhole line. Curve the armhole. The front bodice has on the bust line, but the back doesn't have it. Add sewing allowance to the neckline, then cut. We are done with the front and back bodies. Let's move on to the design. On the neckline, I have a well-detailed video on how to cut and sew off shoulder sleeve neatly. I will leave the link in the comment section below. These are the circles. I'm going to place them on 2 rows. The first row will be 5 with 2 on the 2 shoulders. Measure where you will place the first 3. Wherever you get, divide it by 3. That will determine the wideness of the circle. I got 21 inches divided by 3 is 7. So the circle will be 7 inches wide. To cut the circle, fold your fabric like this. Fold it the second time. Half of 7 is 3.5. Instead of marking on 3.5 inches, we'll mark on 4. The ½ inch will serve as sewing allowance. So by the time we are done sewing it round and turning it, we'll have 7 inches. I marked 4 inches round. I'm going to cut it. And we have our circle. Where I have is 8 inches. If after cutting the circle and you wish to reduce it, what you will do is you will fold it like this, then mark the new measurement you would like to use and cut. Very easy. This is hard interfacing. I'll place a circle on it like this and cut. With hot iron, I'll glue the interface to the wrong side of the fabric. I'll cut another circle which I will use to turn it. You place them together like this with right sides facing each other. Sew round, leaving 1 inch for turning. After sewing, you turn and iron. Top stitch the 1 inch. What I have now is 7 inches after sewing and turning. You will need 8 circles. Let's place them on the bodies. This is the top stitched part. Place it facing downwards. Take the next one. This is the top stitched part. You hide it like this. This top stitched part, we will hide it with the one on the second layer like this. This is the top stitched part. We'll hide it like this. This is the top stitched part. We'll use the next one to hide it. This way all the top stitched parts will be hidden. After arranging the circles the way you like, use needle and thread to attach them to the bodies. I added these black beads to make it look nice. This is the waistline. When I'm done, I'll trim the excess, leaving ½ inch for joining the bodies to the skirts. And for the skirt is gathered. All you need is the waist measurement, multiply it by 3. Wherever you get, that's how wide the fabric you'll be cutting for the skirt would be. Cut the fabric, you gather it and you attach it to the bodies. If you enjoyed watching this tutorial, give it a thumbs up. Leave your questions in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so, and I hope to see you in my next one. Have a good one. Bye.